Hi, my name is Linda Nelson. I'm the Director of Marketing and Business Development at Memorial Hermann, the Woodlands Medical Center, but I'm most proud and honored to be the Chairman of the Board for the Woodlands Area Chamber. Today, I get to introduce and talk to my really good friend, Missy Herndon, and we have so many things to talk about in such a short amount of time. So first, why don't you introduce yourself?
Great. Well, I'm Missy Herndon. I'm the President and CEO of Interfaith of the Woodlands and Interfaith Community Clinic, and I'm the co-founder of the Will Herndon Research Foundation in honor of my son, Will. I am a mother and a wife, and I'm delighted to be here and a chamber member.
And a chamber member for a very long time. Yes, you have taken many leadership roles, boards, and all that kind of stuff with the chamber. So let's just start with Interfaith. Interfaith is such a major player in the Woodlands, and each year it just seems to get more important, and with all the tragedies and episodes that we've had throughout the last few years, Interfaith has stepped up to the plate 110%. So just briefly, what is the mission and vision for Interfaith?
Absolutely. So Interfaith is celebrating 47 years of being in our community, just a year older than the Woodlands. And our goal is to build a more loving and caring community through service by bringing people together from the civic, corporate, and spiritual worlds to make our area a unique and the best place it can be. Most definitely, over the last several years, we have been right along with this community and serving through the different tragedies and disasters and everything else that's kind of come along with it. But at the heart of what we do, we're just there to help people and make people's lives better.
From a medical standpoint, the Interfaith also has the community clinic. So can you just briefly talk about the community clinic?
Absolutely. And so the clinic is actually celebrating 25 years this year, so a big anniversary for the clinic. And we provide health care for those in need that are uninsured or underinsured, and that's medical, dental, and mental health services.
It's an incredible location located in Oak Ridge, and it's available to anybody of the underserved. So, oh my gosh, we cannot send enough people there. It's an amazing facility. So going back to those disasters and all that happened, what would be your proudest moment working and leading Interfaith?
So let's see, at this point, so I've been at Interfaith over 8 years, and I'll be in my position 5 years next month, which is really crazy. I think we've had 6 disasters in 5 years, including COVID, and the snowpocalypse that just happened, so if anyone's counting. But I actually could say twofold, if that's okay. The first is the way my team responded to Hurricane Harvey. Without question, by far, one of the probably biggest highlights, I would say, of my life. We were still a new team working together. There was so much going on, and with their own families, and the way that they always just show up to help. And I can remember us taking a boat across the bridge, the Kirkendall Bridge, to go and help set up a shelter over there and take needs over there, which is just pretty remarkable. I mean, they were literally serving in the middle of a storm and opened up that huge distribution center, 100,000 square foot distribution center up in Conroe, and able to serve so many thousands of people across the county with the help of not only community support, of course, but so many nonprofits that just all collaborated. It was just a really beautiful way to show that when we all work together, the big, huge difference that we can make. And Montgomery County was so much far ahead of the rest of the surrounding area because we were able to mobilize so quickly. And so that is one. And then two, I will really say this whole COVID situation, deemed essential. We never stopped working, which is really hard. And I know you can feel the same way. I mean, my goodness, the same with the hospital systems. They continue going and working even more under such huge stressors, and everyone was so scared. But yet they still showed up every day, and we found ways to serve, and we innovated and just continued to these basic programs that we knew people needed. And while they were fearful, but they still showed up. And so I would say Harvey, number one, but the COVID response has been a close second.
So I think what I really treasure about Interfaith is that they meet the needs that are needed at that time. It's not, well, this is what we do every month, this is what we do every year. That distribution center, it was one of the most amazing things I have ever seen in the short amount of time that it happened. And like you said, people were so affected themselves, but the hundreds of people that volunteered up there, and it took a leader, and you were incredible during that. I can go on about Interfaith forever, but I want to switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about Hope a little bit. Tell us a little bit about really your grandbaby this one.
Yes. So we started Hope a little over 12 years ago in honor of my son, Will, who was diagnosed at that time with juvenile Batten disease. He was 6, which is a rare degenerative brain condition that affects about 200 kids in the country. We had never had it in our family. It is a genetic condition. So my husband and I both have a recessive gene that we passed down that we didn't even know we had. We got this really crazy diagnosis when Will, like I said, Will was 6, my second son was 4, and my baby was 1. And very quickly realized that at the time there was no research being done. And basically the genetics clinic just told us to go home and enjoy him, that he would just continue to digress over the course of the next several years, that his life expectancy was late teens to early 20s, and walked us through this really terrible, terrible, honest life that he was, in front of him. And at the time I was a stay-at-home mom and very, very involved in the junior league and served on multiple boards and did all kinds of volunteer things, and just recognized very quickly on, Wayne and I came to a decision that either we could sit and watch him basically diminish in front of us, or we could at least try to do something that would make a difference for him. And I think we were just young enough, to be honest, had a lot of energy, and I guess you could almost say arrogant enough to think we could actually do something. And thankfully, it wasn't just us. We had a family of friends around us, just amazing friends that we had known from preschool and church and high school and just the area, that were like, well, let's do something. And so we created a research fund, part of the Beyond Batten Disease Foundation. And our goal was to eradicate Batten disease at that time. I will tell you, we had no idea what we were stepping into. We don't have science backgrounds. We did not understand, even though we were told, because most people, I will say, while our friends were very supportive, the medical community was like, it's too difficult. It's such a complex disease. It's been around for 100 years,
so
and no one's been able to do it. Yeah. And to come up with a new drug, it usually takes 15 years and billions of dollars. And we knew we didn't have that. And so we just kind of went headstrong into it, and so thankful for a community that chose to support these efforts for just this one little boy. And Will's an amazing kid. Yeah. Even to this day, he's just got such an amazing, not only personality, but attitude and outlook on life, and it's contagious. And so he gave us this kind of drive. And so here we are. It's pretty amazing. We're 12 years later. We earlier on brought researchers in from Italy who started coming up with a drug that was actually to treat Huntington's, that we translated to Batten disease, and it's taken years. So we're at 12, and we're in with the FDA right now for approval for the clinical trial. And of course, COVID slowed things down just a bit, but we're on the verge of this clinical trial, which will slow the progression of his disease anywhere from 50 to 70%, which is pretty amazing when you think about a disease that has no treatment at all. And we'll take a slowed progression. It buys us time.
Yes.
And time's a gift. We realized over the years that while we had hoped that we would come up with a treatment to stop his progression, potentially even reverse his progression, I don't know that will happen within his lifetime. But having time with him is a true gift. And I can tell you about Hope. I see it every day at Interfaith as well. Hope has been this really beautiful thing out of a really terrible situation, because I did not realize that people could care so much. I didn't know. You care about your family members and you care about your close friends. We have strangers that still pray for Will and that will write. We've had, we have so much love from this community. It's shown us this beauty of human kindness that I just did not know existed, that we now have surrounded him with, and I truly believe that's why he does as well as he does.
Well, everybody knows who Will is. There's not a soul that when we're around him that everyone's not coming up, Will, how are you doing? And we all know he loves the zoo and animals, so we even know the other aspects of him. So that leads me actually to the last question is, tell us about Missy. Tell us about you. You are obviously a leader in the community, and people do flock to you, which is why Hope has been so successful. But tell us about what makes you have the energy that you have and optimism.
Well, thank you. Speaking to one of the most optimistic people I know, that's a huge compliment. I will always say that I think that my optimism came from my mom, who woke up super happy every single day, despite whatever circumstances were going on in our house. And so she has always been a huge driving force in my life. And my dad worked very, very hard, multiple jobs, and always found a way to provide for us. And we didn't always have everything, but we had a lot of love. And I would say that has made such a difference in our family. What drives me, well, I will say, I thank you for the leadership comments. It's very sweet, but I'm surrounded by a lot of really amazing people, from my husband at home, who deals with me and my crazy schedule and puts up with it all. Thank goodness he works from home. That makes a huge difference. Really, really dear friends that work not only at Hope, but also at Interfaith as if it's part of their job, and they're all volunteers. I mean, the fact that people still take my phone calls is pretty amazing, because I'm usually asking for something. Sometimes it's money, and sometimes it's time, and sometimes it's both. I mean, seriously, I just can't believe that people still actually answer the phone when I call. And my children, they're such a driving force. And as they've gotten older, now my children are 18, 16, and almost 13, which is pretty crazy. It just makes me so sad that they've gotten so big so quick. And seeing the kind of people that they are, it makes me want to be better. They're really inspiring boys, very respectful, very, very good to each other, and it just makes me. They really inspired me for me to be better. And I've been put in a very unique position with Interfaith, and it's not Missy, it's Interfaith. I'll say, without question, and we've talked about this, because we collaborate with so many organizations and have so many wonderful resources in this community that I've been a part of Interfaith way before I stepped in. It gives you the capability of being able to really come up with solutions and connect people. And what a beautiful thing. Yes. And we've talked about that, right? Because Linda, I've called you many a times for things of like, Linda, can you help? Or what can you do, right? And what a blessing that is, And so I feel very, very blessed to be in that situation, and to be a part of Interfaith. We lost a legacy, just a huge visionary last week in Reverend Gebert, and I was never close to grandparents, and the ones that were alive lived very far from us. And Reverend Gebert took me on, and you think I was half his age, right? Took me on from a standpoint of, and not just me, but our entire team, and he mentored us, and he was there to motivate and celebrate. And I think about, something that he built over 40 years ago, and for him to see how it's grown and how it's still such an important part of this community. I know that when he left, he was so pleased, and couldn't we all be so grateful, right? That to get to the end of our life and know that something you helped build continues on and has grown beyond you. And I hope that's what happens with Hope, and I hope that's what continues to happen with Faith.
I had the honor of spending a little bit of time with Dr. Gebert in the hospital, and I took a video of him speaking to Missy and all the accolades that he shared with Missy, about Missy. So it was just fun to be able to send that to her while I was in the hospital room with him. And the very last thing, how do you start your day?
Oh my goodness, my day started almost the exact same way every day. Right. I'm kind of a nut. Thank God I require very little sleep. But I get up at 4 and I go to the gym and have a really great group of friends that I work out with an amazing trainer, Mike Smith, who's been with me 10 years and puts up with me and all my shenanigans in the morning, and my attitude of however I come in, which normally is usually pretty perky, but not always. And I do that almost every single morning. It's kind of my only me time, and I will tell you, I listen to some serious hip hop on the way there, pretty loud, and then I usually listen to inspirational music on the way back. I'm a person of routine, and then I get my 2 of my 3 boys off to school, and my husband gets my 3rd, and we get off to work, and that's kind of how the day starts. They're very long days. I'm usually 4 to about 11:30 is my day, 4 a.m. to 11:30 p.m.
That is a long day.
It is a long day.
That really is a long day.
It makes a long day. I'm not gonna lie.
That is a little bit of sleep.
I will tell you that I have that moment before I leave the gym, because I know I'm about to just walk into my schedule.
Right.
I usually don't even look ahead of my schedule, because it kind of freaks me out. When you see like too much color on the schedule, right? You're like, I can't do it. Especially now that my boys all have activities and stuff too. But I don't think I'd have it any other way.
You are a monster at the gym. I've seen some of the videos of you at the gym for sure.
I definitely have learned to help my stress level with the gym activities.
Well, just want to thank you for being here this morning for the interview, and I hope everyone gets to know her, or from this interview even knows Missy a little better, even though I think everybody does know her. But thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay.
Just love you guys. Thank you.